Welcome to Charter Local Edition. Hunger in Tarrant County, the state, and the nation is a continuing and serious problem. At the Tarrant County Area Food Bank, Bo Soderbergh is the executive director, and he joins us now. Bo, we're here to talk a little bit about what your organization does. It's more than just distributing food. There's also a huge education component. Talk to us about what you're doing here in Tarrant County.
Our primary mission is and will remain the distribution of food. Last year we distributed, and it doesn't mean much, it's such a large number, about 35 million pounds of food. But in addition to that, we have any number of programs aimed at educating the public, aimed at educating clients, educating lawmakers. We have any number of community involvement programs. We have community gardens. We do a large number of summer feeding programs, etc. Hunger in our community is by and large an invisible issue. We know a lot more about it than we did when I started 17 years ago, but it's still not anything we can see. We tend to emotionally associate hunger with what you see in the third world. That's not what it looks like here. I think paradoxically, possibly some of the most devastating results of food insecurity, the lack of consistent availability of food, is actually what counterintuitively people would assume is a sign of being well fed, and that's the epidemic we're facing of childhood overweight and obesity. Those are both closely associated with poverty and hunger.
There are some startling statistics on that in the state of Texas.
1 in 3 children is either overweight or medically obese. If you look at what happens in the formative years of a child, from birth to, say, 3 years old, very much of what are the building blocks for future success are laid. If hunger is an issue in that household, if lack of nutrition is an issue, both for the mother and for the children, it can have devastating consequences in the future. Brain development does not occur as it should. Children are unable to comprehend and possibly grasp as well as they can in school. They will have lower graduation rates. They will have any number of associated issues. At Tarrant Area Food Bank, our main concern really is for the future of our community and our state. When these children reach adulthood, they are not going to be competitive in a more highly specialized market. So what we're really looking at is the humanitarian disaster right now, but in terms of long-term forecasting, we're looking at a state that may not be competitive in 20, 30, 40 years.
So with regard to food insecurity, this is an issue, one that I did not know about until we began really discussing it here today. So this is affecting a great deal of children in Tarrant County and Texas.
Absolutely. We estimate that 1 in 4 children, 25% of our kiddos, live in households that are not certain of being able to access good, nutritious food on a daily basis. When you think about it, it's a catastrophe. 1 in 4, and these are children that we know. If our kids go to public school, these are their friends. These are our neighbors. And I mentioned early in the talk that this is an invisible or largely invisible problem. It truly is. The effects of a food insecure household are what's devastating. If you as a parent have to make a choice on what to do with your resources, you frequently will choose food that fills the stomach, that's processed food, that's cheaper to buy than the highly nutritious fresh produce, etc. So what you're doing in essence when you're filling your child's stomach and making sure that it doesn't grumble is you're actually long-term doing the child a disservice. And this is at risk of happening in 25% of the households that our children live in.
What is the greatest misperception about hunger in Tarrant County?
I think the greatest misperception is all those people who don't know it exists. Frequently when I talk, people will associate hunger with the homeless. They'll associate hunger with the homeless individuals standing at the off ramp at I-35, and that to them is the extent of the problem. It's much more insidious than that. I mean, this really reaches far into our society. And it's not just a low-income area. You find it in the suburbs. You find it almost everywhere. I think the biggest misconception is that we don't have an issue.
Where's the greatest need there? It's always financial, but it's also education.
I would say, speaking on behalf of our organization, obviously the financial support for us is important, but I think that as a society, it's the advocacy role, it's education, it's learning what the problem is. This is a basic primary problem that the community faces. And I think the important lesson is that it's going to cost us all a great deal of money. It's a lot easier to take care of it preventively than to come in later on when these individuals, so these children or adults, and try to rectify all of the issues involved with the hunger they grew up in.
What are some of the areas we can get involved in?
I would very strongly recommend getting involved with any one of the hunger relief charities that we have. We have pantries, we have shelters in our community. I would also really urge us in a legislative year to make sure that our legislators understand that there are things that we can cut, there are things where we can save, but food programs and school programs, etc., that channel good, healthy food to kids are not something that we should tamper with. They're something that we should put more effort into and more resources into.
So to volunteer or to find out more, where do we go?
We would be more than happy to point any individual either to ourselves or to a partner agency. Our website is TAFB, that stands for Tarrant Area Food Bank.org. If you live in an area serviced by our sister food bank, the North Texas Food Bank in Dallas, their website is NorthTexasNTFB.org. I would reach out to either food bank. If you're in Tarrant County West, or it's Tarrant Area Food Bank. If you're in Dallas County and East, it's the North Texas Food Bank.
Anything else for our viewers before we go?
Just make sure that you think about it and that you're aware that this is not a short-term problem, this is a long-term problem.
Great parting words. Thank you so much. Bo Soderbergh, Tarrant Area Food Bank. You've been watching Charter Local Edition.